Every Friday from 3:05 to 4 on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM. It's the Friday Sports Scene with Keith and Koivisto. Talking local sports every Friday. Getting you ready for the weekend and what lies ahead. High school sports, UConn, ECSU, and more. The Friday Sports Scene with Keith and Koivisto is brought to you by your local Dunkin' stores. Route 32 South Windham, 1015 Main Street, Willimantic, 1575 West Main Street, and 407 Jackson Street. The Friday Sports Scene. Now, here's Keith C. Rice and Jan Koivisto.
They call him Drake, Drake May, he's Drake, Drake May. He brought the city back, they call him Drake, Drake May. He's Drake, Drake May. It's Drake, Drake May. And no, I didn't stutter, it's just Drake, Drake May. He's Drake, Drake May. It's Drake, Drake May. There ain't a quarterback better than Drake, Drake May. He's Drake, Drake May. It's Drake, Drake May. And no, I didn't stutter, it's just Drake, Drake May. When it all go down, they gon' be calling it Mayday. The way that boy be playing needs a major pay raise. Ain't much that they can't say till parades take place. And we at number 7 to the Patriots rank case from UNC. And now he's up in the knee. Just took the AFC East like it was MBD. They chanting MVP, even in New Jersey. Who got the highest QBR? Boy, he's leading the league. He's steady going for 6 and rarely throwing a pick. That boy can scramble like an egg and doesn't crack when they blitz. There ain't a pass that he's missed. It's history in the making. Yeah, Brady had his time, but now we crowning Drake May. They call him Drake, Drake May. He's Drake, Drake May. He brought the city back. They call him Drake, Drake May. He's Drake, Drake May. It's Drake, Drake May. And no, I didn't stutter. It's just Drake, Drake May. He's Drake, Drake May. It's Drake, Drake May. There ain't a quarterback better than Drake, Drake May. He's Drake, Drake May. It's Drake, Drake May. And no, I didn't stutter. It's just Drake, Drake May. They call him Drake, Drake May. He's Drake, Drake May. He brought the city back. They call him Drake, Drake May. He's Drake, Drake May. It's Drake, Drake May. And no, I didn't stutter. It's just Drake, Drake May. He's Drake, Drake May. It's Drake, Drake May. There ain't a quarterback better than Drake, Drake May. He's Drake, Drake May. It's Drake, Drake May. And no, I didn't stutter. It's just Drake, Drake May.
Yeah, I figured we'd play the entire song this time. A couple weeks ago, we played like half of it, but I wanted Nick Erlinson to hear the Drake May song from Nikki G in its entirety. You're going to be singing that all night tonight, right?
Of course.
You're going to be singing Sam Darnold, Sam Darnold.
It doesn't have as good of a ring to it, though.
I don't think there's a Sam Darnold song. Welcome into the February 6th edition of the Dunkin' Friday Sports Scene on 14 WILI 95.3 FM. And soon you could watch it on the WILI YouTube channel. Yeah, next time you're on YouTube, search WILI Radio, subscribe, watch not just the Dunkin' Friday Sports Scene, but a lot of our great talk shows here on WILI. We've made it, finally. You know, I did... There was one point, they did it for a few years, where there was only, there was 1 week leading up to the Super Bowl. Now, for the past several years, they've been back to the big, there's a week in between. And remember they played it, there was a couple times they played it after the conference championship. And then they went back to the whole build-up and Radio Row and all that stuff.
Didn't they used to do the Pro Bowl in that off week?
Right. Back
when it was good.
I wish, back when it was good. And can you change the name for it's not the Pro Bowl anymore. You're not... It's turned into, it's flag football, but you're not even getting the best of the, that's a whole other story for another time. So welcome into the February 6th edition. Here we are, Super Bowl weekend. We got a big UConn men's basketball game tonight on WILI. We'll get into that. How you doing, Nick Erlinson?
I'm not too bad. It's actually kind of nice out today.
Kind of nice. Yeah, we did. It was sunny. Now it's cloudy. Got some snow.
35 degrees. That's pretty nice.
I know. It feels. You know when it's been really cold when 35 feels like 75. Seriously,
that's right.
Walking around a short sleeve shirt, I'll take 35 degrees over 10 any day. So yeah, you got your Seahawks gear on. I see.
I do.
You'll be rooting for the Seahawks, obviously, right?
Yep.
Because your son's a Seahawks fan.
Yep. My son Maverick is a big Seahawks fan.
That's a great name, Maverick. I got my UConn basketball shirt on. I've been repping the Pats for the past few weeks, but obviously be pulling big time for the New England Patriots. Hopefully bring home a 7th Lombardi. We shall see. So we'll get into UConn, the big game down at Madison Square Garden tonight. We'll get into the Super Bowl 60. My good friend Ray Martel, the guy who took me to the Pats Houston game a couple weeks ago, longtime New England Patriots season ticket holder, and now the executive radio producer for the New York Mets. He's a New England guy, born and raised in Rhode Island, huge Pats fan. We'll get Ray on at 3:35. My cousin Jeff Bennett will give us a special Super Bowl edition of Bennett's Best Bet. So he's got some props to throw out. Nick and I will do some predictions and have some fun as well. 3:15, we'll talk to Bill O'Connor. Once again, he'll join the show, the athletic director at Wyndham Tech. Some big news for the Wyndham Tech boys. Let's get into it as we do our Duncan Friday sports scene rundown as we kick off every show here on WILI. Start with the Wyndham High boys, who are 4-11. Kind of a rough year for Paul Martineau and the Whips. A couple road losses this week at Killingly and East Lyme. Whips host Wyndham Tech tomorrow at 3. Wyndham High girls are 4-9. They've been looking better, though. They went 1-1 this week, lost at Woodstock, and got a 4-point win at Waterford. They'll be at Bacon this evening at 6. Wyndham Tech boys under Coach Luke Gilday are 12-3. Tigers having a nice season. Wins this week at Prince Tech, 89-53, and at home over Whitney Tech, 98-70. Big night, not just because of the big win, but Colby Dunnick was the second Wyndham Tech Tiger to get 1,000 points. 1,000 points, that is. He's the second player to do it on Wyndham Tech. Of course, Brady Marsh did it earlier this year. 3 games in a row for Wyndham Tech. You don't see that too often. We'll have to ask Bill about that as well. You don't see 3 games in a row, and they won them all, including a win over Norwich Tech, 85-48. I believe they won them all. Wyndham Tech girls lost 46-25 to Norwich Tech. And again, AD Bill O'Connor joins us at 3:15 here on the Duncan Friday Sports Scene. E.O. Smith boys are 10-5. 1-1 week this week. They were blown out at home by East Catholic, 86-45. They won at South Windsor last night, 56-45. Smith boys next host Ram on Tuesday. E.O. Smith girls, 5-10 this season. They had a 1-1 week this week as well, with losses to East Catholic and South Windsor. Coventry boys have fallen to 10-5. They lost 5 straight, including a loss at Summers on Monday that snapped that 5-game losing streak by beating Windsor Locks 58-42 the other night. Coventry girls keep on winning, 11 straight. They're now 15-1. They had wins over Windsor Locks and Summers this week. They'll be home for Wyndham on Monday night. Lyman boys got a win over Turtle Out last night by a point. Bulldogs are 2-12. Lyman girls are 3-9. They'll be at Griswold tonight. Parish Hill having a nice season. The Parish Hill girls, that is, they're 12-4. They beat Capital Prep on Wednesday, and they're home for Buckley today. Eastern men and women. The men are 12-8. They snapped a 4-game skid, winning at UMass Dartmouth 96-86. 14 points for Wyndham High's Julian Sanchez. They host Southern Maine tomorrow at 1 at Geisler Gym. Eastern women with a nice win last weekend over UMass Boston after we spoke with Coach Mandy King. She sent me a nice text message too, saying that maybe the Duncan Friday Sports Scene is like a good luck charm. They won at UMass Boston last week after we spoke with her. Then they fell to 8-12 after a 67-59 loss to UMass Dartmouth. Eastern women will welcome in Southern Maine tomorrow at 3. I think that's Manny King's former stomping grounds there. Third-ranked UConn men, as we mentioned, big road game tonight down in New York City at Madison Square Garden. UConn has won 18 straight. 22nd-ranked St. John's is also on a heater, as no surprise. We knew these teams were on a collision course here. The Johnnies have won 8 in a row. First meeting of the season for UConn and St. John's. We'll have it for you at 7:30 tonight on WILI. And just in case you're wondering, it is a national game on Fox. UConn is 22-1, 12-0 overall. 22-1 overall, 12-0 in the Big East. St. John's comes in 17-5 overall, 10-1 in the Big East, right on UConn's tail. Top-ranked UConn women are now 24-0. And most likely going to run the table if they stay healthy. Routed DePaul in Chicago the other night, 86-40, 25 for AZ, 14 points, 6 rebounds for Sarah Strong. UConn hosts Butler tomorrow at 11:30 on WILI. That game is in Hartford. Super Bowl 60. You may have heard of it. It's coming up in a couple days out in Santa Clara, California. Pats in Seattle. Seattle's still a 4.5-point favorite. Of course, Nick and I will jump into a lot of that on and off throughout the show, along with some UConn hoops. Ray Martel, as I mentioned, will join us at 3:35, and Jeff Bennett finishes it off with Bennett's Best Bet special Super Bowl edition. Mike Vrabel, the Patriots, gets Coach of the Year. Matthew Stafford edges Drake May by 1 vote for MVP. That could provide for a little.
That was my vote.
Probably was. Celtics trade Anthony Simons earlier this week to the Bulls for 35-year-old Nikola Vucevic. Celtics and Knicks both tied for second in the East. If we had more time, I'd like to get into that because the Celtics, I kind of like the trade. I wish he wasn't 35, but whatever. Olympics have technically started in Italy, opening ceremonies tonight. And I just want to say this. If you're into the whole Olympic thing and you know about the 1980 historical moment when the United States beat the Russians in hockey, let's knock over my Dunkin' coffee there. You got to watch Miracle. I think it's still number one on Netflix. Miracle.
Great movie.
Boys of 80. Oh, great documentary. Did you see it yet?
Yeah.
It'll give you goosebumps. It'll get you tearing up. I can't recommend that enough. So, and then we have, of course, got to thank our local Dunkin' stores, Route 32 South Windham in Main Street. Got 1015 Main Street, Willimantic, 407 Jackson Street, Willimantic, and 1575 West Main Street. Big thanks to our Dunkin' stores. I'm enjoying a large caramel macchiato today. Let's see what else we got here. Check out I had the $5 meal deal earlier this morning. They got so much going on at our local Dunkin' stores. The caramel chocolate protein latte with sugar-free vanilla. Of course, Nick likes I had a refresher. I took your advice. Tried a refresher the other day. I had the mango. It was wonderful. Berry Moonlight Daydream refresher. Coca Cloud latte. Caramel chocolate shaken espresso. What do you got over there today?
That is the, I think it's the Toxic Espresso. It's like raspberry and chocolate.
Very nice. So lots to choose from. Big thanks to our local Dunkin' stores. And, of course, we got J-Matt Rupar and intern Anthony over on the other side. J-Matt Rupar will be playing some Drake May. No?
No.
Nikki G's not a Connecticut artist, right?
No, sorry.
What do you got coming up?
Bill Dougal from Lebanon.
Another Bill Dougal segment. All right.
Every once in a while, throw in some Bill. Let's see. My buddies, Afghan Hayes. I did an interview with them a couple months ago. They're good guys. Let's see. The Lesser Thans. Bill Ludwig from Manchester. Hugh Blumenfeld, who was the state troubadour at one point, I think.
I think you're going to say Richard Blumenthal.
No. That's about it, though. A couple other
good stuff.
Couple other good things, but that's,
And, of course, you're brought to you by Eastern Insurance Associates.
Eastern Insurance Associates, 6 Stores Road on the Mansfield-Willimantic Town Line.
He's ready to go.
I'm ready.
J-Matt Rupar and Homegrown follows the Dunkin' Friday Sports Scene every Friday here on WILI, so make sure you check out. If you like Connecticut music, if it's made in Connecticut, you will hear it with J-Matt Rupar, Homegrown, following the Dunkin' Friday Sports Scene. So I know you could give it to me later too, but give it to me right now. I'm going to put you on the spot as we wait to connect with Bill O'Connor. Give me a score right now. Seahawks, Patriots.
Seahawks, 28-24.
All right. That's right. You told me last week it was going to be
Yep, I'm going to stick with that score.
Same score, Super Bowl 49, except you're taking the Seahawks to win 28-24.
And it'll be one on a 1-yard pass.
A 1-yard pass. Would that be fun to Cooper Kupp, right? Oh, boy. All right. I think we're connecting with good friend and athletic director Bill O'Connor. Is he there?
We turn that on first. That one.
All right. We got some big news that happened at Wyndham Tech this week. Good afternoon, Bill O'Connor.
Good afternoon, guys.
Dunkin' Friday Sports Scene with Keith and Koivisto. Got Nick Erlinson sitting in for the Chronicles, Jan Koivisto. Second time around here on the Dunkin' Friday Sports Scene for Mr. O'Connor. And we thank you for a few minutes. Busy days up at Wyndham Tech, huh?
Oh, yeah, very busy days. It's getting towards the end of basketball season. This is where it gets crazy.
Yeah, so boys and girls, let's start with the boys. Wyndham Tech. Now, did you, correct me if I'm wrong, because I just did the rundown, top of the show. Did the boys play 3 nights in a row?
I'm trying to think.
I know there's been a lot of games they all run together.
Yes. The boys and girls had to do 3 nights in a row. The boys had to do 3 nights in a row. The girls had 2.
I'm assuming that, I just thought about this. It had to be a makeup game, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, we moved our Friday game to Thursday because of, at the time, it was supposed to snow Friday night into Saturday,
Gotcha.
and we didn't have to scramble to reschedule, so we moved it to Thursday, and
Gotcha.
all the schools canceled activities for tomorrow, so the 2 games that we had tomorrow are being rescheduled, and we're scrambling anyway.
Yeah, I kind of now that it all makes sense, because when I was looking up the scores earlier and just getting things ready for the show, I'm like, wow, 3 games in a row. But now, there are, there's moving games around because of makeups and all that. But still, playing 3 games in a row, it's still kind of a tough thing to do. And the Tech boys are 12-3. Coach Gilday's got them playing well, and not only you guys took 3 in a row, but Colby Dunnick became the second Wyndham Tech Tiger to hit 1,000 points. Talk a little about that.
Well, actually, Keith, he's the 3rd in 3 years.
3rd in 3 years.
Yes, we had Desmond Gaston do it Luke's first year. Colby did it last year, and Brady did it this year. I'm sorry, Brady did it last year, and Colby did it this year.
Well, no, Brady and Colby are this year, right?
Brady was last year. He broke Larry Slyman's
right, but a couple weeks
all-time
ago,
record this year.
Oh, that's what it was. I'm sorry. He broke Slyman's record. He hit 1,000 last year. I got that mixed up. Yes.
Yeah.
Still, though, it's big news breaking Slyman's record for Brady, but Colby needed 11 points going into the game the other night, and you were telling me he got it in the first quarter, huh?
Yeah, he got it in the first quarter. Had a couple chances to get it on the free throw line, but couldn't. That last point, kind of sticks in your head there a little bit. But he got it. I think he got it on a rebound and put it back in.
Now tell us how that all went down. Did you guys stop the game there?
We stopped the game. We presented him with a ball that's 1,000 points on it. Took some pictures with his dad, his brother, and his mom, and then back to the game.
Wow, it's just Wyndham Tech has had some great years, and since Coach Gilday, are you surprised that the boys are 12-3 after coming off such a great year last year? I knew they'd still be pretty good. We talked about that, but 12-3. And you lost a couple players.
We lost last year Fisher Jones, Jackson Richard, and Lorenzo Tarasio. They were big. We lost a lot of kids. But no, I didn't think. I thought we'd take some losses, but I thought we would be a 15, 16 win team.
Hey, with the 1,000-point scores that you have had recently, do you see any future 1,000-point scorers possibly? Anybody getting close for maybe next season?
No, I don't see anybody doing it next year unless they go and score 50 points a game. I don't see guys doing it next year.
Wyndham Tech Athletic Director Bill O'Connor joining us here on the Duncan Friday Sports Scene in WILI. So, we'll touch on the girls a little as well, but the boys at 12-3 here on February the 6th. How confident? How not to put you on the spot, but how deep can this team go? Do you think, in your mind?
The sky's the limit with this team. I think they can make a very deep run in our league tournament and in the state tournament. They're pretty good.
Who in the conference can you see? Maybe giving Wyndham Tech a little bit problems in the conference tournament?
Grasso Tech is a very tough team. Cheney Tech in our division, and then on the other side there's Abbott Tech. They're really good. We beat them last year in the finals of our league tournament, and I don't think they lost much. So they're going to be a very tough team.
Who did the losses come against to, Bill? I'm sorry, I don't have the schedule in front of me.
We lost. I know. We lost to a public school. I can't remember exactly who they were because it was early in the year.
Yeah, it was early. Yeah, it was earlier in the year because every time I turn around, you guys are winning. So I know we both don't have the schedule in front of us.
And then we lost to Cheney and Grasso the very first game of the year. It was in their tip-off tournament.
Before we get into a little on the Wyndham Tech girls, who is some younger players on the boys team that have kind of turned some heads this year and surprised you that may, prove to, have a bright future?
Jamison Sedlowski, or Sedlowski, if that's his last name. I always pronounce it wrong. I think he will be able to kind of take care of the team next year, run the floor, be a good leader.
And who do you guys lose again this year?
Cheney Tech.
No. Who do you guys lose as far as who graduates?
We lose a kid named Connor Bushy, Colby,
Colby.
and Brady, and I'm not sure if I'm missing one more. I think I'm missing one more.
You may know this, you may not, but I text with AJ, Colby's dad, every now and then, and we would run into each other here and there as well. And do Colby and Brady have any college plans at this point? Do there's is there any word out on that?
Yes, they plan to go play. I don't know much about where Colby's going because he really hasn't said much to me. I believe Brady is thinking of going to UConn Avery Point to play.
So it's not official. I just want to know where they were at that point.
Yeah. It's not that they haven't signed on the dotted line, the letter of intent, but that's what they're leaning towards.
Gotcha. All right, how about the Windham Tech girls? Obviously not on the level as the boys right now, but talk a little about how their season's going this year.
They're doing okay. They're 6-8, 6-9 right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think they can finish 500. I think the girls are playing really well. They had a tough game against Windham High, and then a tough game against Norwich Tech, who is really good. Norwich Tech probably has a very good chance of winning the division and the league tournament.
How many wins do the girls need to qualify for states? Is it 8?
They need 8.
Okay.
I checked yesterday, and they're 20. So they're in the league tournament right now with 6 wins.
Okay.
But that, we still got 2 weeks left to play. That could change. But I think they can finish 10-10.
Well, that's legit. Okay, and it's amazing how fast the season goes. Athletic director from Windham Tech AD Bill O'Connor on with us here on the Duncan Friday Sports Scene for this February the 6th on WILI. Before we let you go, big game.
Well, hold on, Keith. I did some homework, man. You gotta.
Oh, but hey, we got a couple more minutes. But before we let you go, I want you to give us a little of that homework you worked so hardly on. But we're not hanging up till you give us a Super Bowl prediction. But first, go ahead. Fill us in on what you did. You did some homework.
Okay, so when I talked to you last time, I told you Claudia Cueva was the all-time leading scorer, and I was wrong.
Oh, okay.
It is Marissa Shershak with 1,869 points.
That's why you're so quick to come back on here, right?
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
And Brady might have a shot to break that record.
Okay.
He's sitting at 1,619 points.
And what's he shooting for again?
1,869. So he's got a shot. So he broke Larry Slyman's all-time winning streak, all-time score for the boys.
Yeah.
Larry became a state trooper with Troop K and worked with Brady Marsh's dad, Joe.
No kidding. This is some great homework. Good job.
Yeah. So Larry Slyman holds the most points scored in a single game at 55 points. And amazing. This is an amazing stat. He went 23 from 24 from the foul line that night.
Oh, my God. Really?
The game before, he had 48 points and went 21 for 22 from the foul line.
Oh, my God. I remember. This is Slyman, right?
Yes, and according to Coach Elliott, who used to be a longtime coach and teacher at Windham Tech, he could have had probably 2,000 points or more if there was a three-point line when Larry
absolutely, played. Absolutely. I remember reading about Slyman back in the day, and it's hard to believe that Brady Marsh. When I saw it when he broke Slyman's record, I'm thinking, wow, that's a heck of an accomplishment. I bet Slyman was unbelievable.
And I got to give Jeff Lanzer the shout out. I got all this information from him because I'm not a tech guy, so Lyman I know some stuff, because that's where I went and played. But Jeff is like him and Tom St. George are like the team historians. Tom's for the girls and Jeff is for the boys. And Brady's got a shot.
That's great.
So
Well, look at you busting out the research, and it's great.
We've had. I had to come prepared for this one.
It's great having you on and Belanger, and of course we had Coach Gomez on, and it's just a nice little circle of local guests, and we've even had Eastern coach Mandy King on. So I can't thank you guys enough. Everyone's been fantastic, and way to bring the research. Before we say goodbye, because we're up against it here. Super Bowl prediction: Bill O'Connor from Wyndham Tech.
I'm nervous because Seattle is really good.
They are.
But I'm a Pats fan through and through, and I'm going Patriots.
You want to give us a score? We should jot these down.
I'm saying 33-31.
Woo! Yeah, all right, there we go. I'll have to remember. We'll have the video link up too, which I'll text to you. All right, 33-31. That's what Wyndham Tech Athletic Director Bill O'Connor is going with. And thank you. I almost called you coach. Well, you are a coach. Baseball
I am a coach.
Thank you, Coach/AD, and have a great weekend. We'll talk soon.
Yes, thank you for having me on, Keith. Appreciate it.
You got it. All right, there he goes. Wyndham Tech AD Bill O'Connor. Great. Buzz breaking out the research. How about that? So, all right, we're going to take a quick break in just a sec. On the other side, we got to talk about UConn St. John's. Big game tonight down in New York. And, of course, a lot of Super Bowl talk. It's the Duncan Friday Sports Scene with Keith and Koivisto featuring Nick Erlinson. We're back in a few on WILI. All righty. Thank you, Eddie Bishop. Back here on the Duncan Friday Sports Scene, February 6th edition, getting you ready for Super Bowl 60 and, of course, UConn St. John's. It's Duncan Friday Sports Scene, Keith and Koivisto. Nick Erlinson, of course, in for Coach Koivisto, was on a coaching hiatus with the Plainfield girls, doing great down there. We'll have to get him back on, get another update before they get ready for tournament time, by the way. It's hard to believe that we're already into February. UConn men against St. John's, first meeting of the year. Couldn't wait for this matchup. And we kind of had a feeling this would happen, Nick. Both teams coming in on heaters, UConn especially, 18 wins in a row. Games at Madison Square Garden tonight. You knew St. John's was struggling, playing some good teams early on, but now they've won 8 in a row. Patino, Hurley, UConn, 22-1, 12-0 in the Big East. St. John's right there, 10-1 in the Big East. I can't wait for this game. 8 o'clock tonight. We have it for you at 7:30 on WILI. UConn and St. John's.
Yeah. I would say it's a tough away game, but UConn plays pretty well there usually.
Store South.
Exactly.
Store South. And I got to give Hurley credit, too. He really had the guys ready the other night against Xavier, because you don't want to look ahead for that big – you want to – and UConn took care of business. I didn't see any of the game. I was hosting Music Bingo down at Fenton River Grill. But UConn, I caught up with the highlights and the stats later on. UConn runs away 92-60, was never close. Xavier, not a good team, so you kind of expect this, but that could be kind of a trap game for UConn. And UConn got it done, and it seemed like they had their foot on the gas the whole night.
Yeah, it's easy to fall off on those because you think too far ahead and
exactly
you underestimate them, and that's where the upsets happen.
That's where you got to give Coach Hurley a lot of credit. It's easy, you got, excuse me, because as fans, you've been hearing me talking about, I can't wait for UConn St. John's. First meeting of the year. And this kind of has been the trend. I think their first meeting was last year at this time. I remember it was a Friday night. I think it was up here this time last year. But the first meeting's in New York City. As you mentioned, there's going to be a lot of UConn fans down there. And don't be surprised if you hear more UConn fans than St. John's fans. Patino's got that program pointed in the right direction. I can't wait. It should be a fun game tonight.
Yeah, we'll tune into that one. That will be a good one.
Yep. Again, WILI has it at 7:30. If you're looking for a TV option, it's Fox, 8 o'clock. Excuse me. So it's a national game. So it should be definitely a lot of fun. And I think we're connecting with good. We're still.
I'm working on it.
Well, we're still working on Ray. Okay. Well, he knows we're calling. And a little background before we get into Ray. Ray Martel is my friend who took me to the Pats Houston game a couple weeks ago. He's done radio in New York City for all these years, but he is born and raised in Rhode Island. And I think we're still working on him. Ray has been a long-time season ticket holder. And I'm really surprised that he's not. He's actually been to a bunch of Super Bowls. He'll tell. We got him right now.
Yeah, we're on.
All right, Ray. Hello, Ray.
Is this Brian Jordan?
yeah, now I can explain Brian Jordan. Brian Jordan was my radio alias outside of Connecticut. Brian Jordan retired a bunch of years ago. So.
I've never seen you and the baseball player in the same spot, so I never know,
I'm going to send you the video link so you can see me almost fall off my chair when you call me Brian Jordan. But welcome to the Duncan Friday Sports Scene. Ray Martel with Keith and Koivisto. Got Nick Erlinson in for the Chronicles, Jan Koivisto. We do this every Friday, and I couldn't think of a better person to have on to talk Super Bowl, which I right before we brought you in here, I was telling Nick, I go, I'm really surprised. Ray's been to a bunch of Super Bowls. I'm really surprised he's not out in Santa Clara or San Jose or San Francisco getting ready for this one. So, Ray, before we get into Super Bowl talk, Pat Seahawks, tell us some of the Super Bowls and some of the great games you've been to, being a longtime Patriot season ticket holder.
Well, I've been fortunate enough that I was at two of the three best that I will call them that New England's been in and won, and I was at the two worst that they lost. So I've had that opportunity. I had a chance to go in 2001, January of 2002, actually February of 2002. That first one at the Superdome, which nothing for me is ever going to top that sports memory wise. Yes, I know I'm a Red Sox fan. I know that 04 was great and everything, but there's only one championship to me that probably the '86 Celtics is the only one that means more to me because that was my real first one I remember. But then, the Pats one in there was great. And I got a chance to be there with my dad, kicking the field goal. It was great. And then I was at as I like to call them, the two giant disasters, at both of them in Arizona and in Indianapolis both times. And then the last one I was at the Seattle one. And, with my father-in-law, who is doing well, had quadruple bypass surgery this week, is up and doing well, and hopefully be out of the hospital another day or so. So we wish him the best. Even though he is a huge Buffalo Bills fan, we love him dearly.
He's a Buffalo Bills fan. He is?
He's from up there. He's from up in that area. In fact, the funny thing was, he's obviously never seen them win a Super Bowl. He had actually gone to a Super Bowl in college at one of them that was at the Orange Bowl years ago. He actually bought a ticket and went back when you could do that.
Wait, this is your dad? Did you say your dad?
My father-in-law.
Your father-in-law. I'm sorry, your father-in-law. Okay, you threw me off for a second. All right.
Oh, no, Big Ray.
I was going to say, Big Ray is not a Bills fan. Yeah, Big Ray's not a Bills fan. Okay. Well, I'm glad your father-in-law's doing okay. Oh, my God.
He's doing great. We're very happy for it.
Now, I was telling everyone who Ray Martel is before we brought you in. So once again, we have Ray Martel on, who's done radio in New York City for years at WFAN. He's currently the executive radio producer for the New York Mets, but he's a longtime New England/Boston sports fan growing up in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Correct? Is that where you grew up, in Pawtucket?
That is right there in the shadow of the late great McCoy Stadium, home of the Pawtucket Red Sox. Yep.
And I'm very honored that he thought of me to go to bring me to that Pats Houston game in the snow. What a scene that was.
You're the only guy you're the sixth guy I called and the only one who was going to pay. So I didn't know. I'm just kidding. First guy I thought of. But we had to make it up because the other game you came to with me before was Brady's last game against Mike Vrabel and the Tennessee Titans.
That's right. That's right. As against synergy. And I was a little nervous because obviously I was going to go, but I'm thinking it was the same crew pretty much that we had last time, and I'm thinking, oh boy, I brought them a loss last time. I'm sure they want me to come along, but I'm glad you guys aren't that superstitious. So it worked out. The best thing about it was that other game was a disaster, and we got out of there in no time. We were so upset. This was a great game, but we sat in the car for 2 hours trying to get out of that parking lot. It was like the old days. I know, exactly. All right, let's get into it. Time is short here, so let's get into. Let's roll up our sleeves. Yep. Pat Seahawks, how you been feeling all week? Because, just like the playoffs, I felt good. Actually, the Pats Houston week, going into it, I didn't feel that great. As we got into later in the week, I felt much better. Pats Denver, I got to be honest, I never felt good the entire week because the game was in Denver. How did you feel those 2 weeks before we get into Super Bowl week here?
Well, I felt good about the Texans game. I felt good at home. They'd find a way to win it, and they did. I am like you. I have watched this team for 40 years, going back to '86 when I really started to get into football. And it's the honest to goodness truth. They never win in Denver. They were 0-4. I could, come in this game, I could recite every single game, no matter what it was. Whether it was, 85 or 86, Ray Berry punting late and not getting the ball back. Whether it's the Ben Watson game, whether it was getting blown out, and with the team they were better that year when they played in Denver, and then obviously the 2-point conversion game. So I did not ever feel comfortable. And let's be honest, it is fair to say that a competent quarterback in that situation, maybe it's a different game, but it wasn't. And you can't, you take what you're given and you don't apologize for it because they're here, and that's all that matters.
Are you tired of also hearing about all the Patriots on the easy road? It's true. I mean, no Nico.
Well, I am, because all the other teams, other than 3 different teams, all right, the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Bills all played 14 of the same teams. So, if you're going to argue with them, why couldn't the Bills do it? Why weren't the Bills up there? So I don't want to hear that anymore. I don't want to hear about that. They still had to beat teams, and they still went out there and won. Really, Tom Curran made a great point about a month ago, or what seems like that. He says, the bigger story is people should be more upset that we're not talking about 19-0, because in all honesty, they won. They should have won that opener in there against the Raiders. They blew the game against the Steelers, and they blew the game against the Bills. So really, it could be even worse right now. They honestly could be 19-0. They were maybe 5 plays away from being 19-0.
Absolutely, and it depends where you listen, who you watch this week. But I'm tired of hearing about Justin Herbert crapping down his leg. No Nico Collins. Oh wait, Bo Nix got hurt. You know what? Did we forget that the Patriots beat 3 of the top 5 defenses to get there? Okay, Drake May had his problems in the playoffs. I get it, but I think this is, and I want to know what you think as we get into the Super Bowl talk. You're finally getting to Pat Seahawks. Drake May, correct me if I'm wrong, lost the MVP by 1 vote last night. Is that correct?
1 or 2 votes, and I don't worry about the MVP voting. It doesn't mean
I don't either, but it's going to fire him up. It's going to fire him up. That's what I would think, right?
It will, but I don't worry about MVP voting. All I know is that Tom Brady's the only quarterback to beat 2 MVPs on the way to winning a Super Bowl. So I don't. It's every year. Don't forget when Steve McNair and Peyton Manning both won the MVP because they finished the exact same number of votes. New England beat both of them in the playoffs. So it doesn't matter. I don't care about the MVP. I'm beyond that. You mentioned Drake May, and you mentioned how he was playing. And I look at that Denver game, and they said he didn't play great. I looked at it that he played great, that he didn't turn over the ball.
True,
and that was one of his biggest issues. So they're saying, well, he wasn't as accurate. He's a little hesitant. But you know what? He tucked that ball in and took a sack. He tucked that ball in and dove forward and made on. That, to me, was the biggest thing, the X factor in that game, because he had been, you saw it, he had been doing that in the other games.
And how about he improvised to win the game, basically? That was supposed to be a handoff to Stevenson, and he wins the game with his legs, which he's been doing pretty much all year. And, so it's, and then, of course, the May's performance in Denver, a lot of talk, you've heard about it too. What's up with the shoulder? Ooh, did you see how he was throwing in the playoffs? And he hurt it in the Houston game. I'm not buying any of that. He's a full participant.
Tom Brady was probable with a shoulder for like 5 years straight, everything.
Yeah, didn't he cut his finger in the AFC Championship game or before the Jackson?
Everybody's hurt right now. Everybody is. You know what? I don't want to promote people doing stuff, but they're going to take some pills, they're going to fire stuff up, and and they'll be ready to go on Sunday.
Sam Darnold's battling an oblique. You're right. Ray's right. Everyone's banged up. So we're talking with Ray Martel.
Terrell Owens had one of the great Super Bowl performances against New England on basically a broken leg.
That's right. That's right.
And it just he hadn't played all and had an incredible, because he's got, you know what? You realize that was his time to play, and that's what all these guys are going to do. Guys are going to be out there whether they're hurt or not.
Ray Martell's joining us down in New York, where he does radio. He's the executive radio producer of the New York Mets, but his heart will always be up here in New England as we get ready to talk Pats and Seahawks. We finally, when we're talking about the playoffs. Now let's get into the game. How are you feeling? I think the Patriots are going to win. I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle wins, but I'm feeling good about this game. How about you, Ray?
I just think you got the matchup you'd rather have, and the reason being, yes, the guy last night who won the MVP. You're not playing an MVP quarterback who's looking to really cement his legacy in the NFL. Already having won 1 Super Bowl and looking to get a second. That's rarefied air when you win a second. There are very few guys who win a second who aren't in the Super Bowl in the Hall of Fame. Eli should be at some point. Jim Plunkett should be as well. But that's why. This is different. This is Sam Darnold, who, when you get pressure on him, he is not the same quarterback. Now, can they do it? Now, Seahawks front 7 is excellent. Okay, I mean the Seahawks offensive line is very good, but they can get pressure, and he's had pressure and trouble this year. And I think that's going to be really the matchup to watch. Are both offensive lines? What can they do? Mm-hmm. The left side of New England's offensive line, obviously, with the injuries to Campbell and him coming back, he actually played pretty well in the Denver game. He's going to need to step up as well. And I think the offensive lines for both of these teams are going to make the difference. I think New England holds up a little more, and I think they get pressure at Darnold and make Darnold make a mistake. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be on the quarterbacks that make the mistakes. And if Darnold makes enough of them, I think New England wins this game. If Darnold all of a sudden, look, if Darnold plays, and I'll use a backup for an example, if Darnold plays like Nick Foles did, New England's in trouble. There's really the way to look at it.
Let's hope the ghosts show up again. Nick Erlinson's got a question for you. Go ahead, Nick.
Hey, last year, neither one of these teams even made the playoffs, and the Patriots had the greatest one-year turnaround, pretty much flipping their record. Do you think that's more about the players they have in place, or coaching, or a combination of both?
I think it's a combination of both, but I put it more to the coaching staff understanding what they have. I think Mike Vrabel, and this is not a knock, I love Gerard Mayo. Got his jersey and everything. I think Gerard one day will be a very good coach in this league. I think he kind of got caught in two different things. Number one, the old saying, you never want to be the man to replace the man, and that's what he was doing. And that's what was the first hit. And outside of George Seifert, show me another guy who came in and had success immediately in another team. So that was the first thing. Secondly, I think that Gerard Mayo was trying too much to keep the New England Patriots the Belichick way, the Patriot way, and didn't really deviate from what Bill was doing, and people were tired of what Bill was doing. That's the players that were there. They had guys who were kind of not really around. They were kind of looking at Bill, the GM, who had not a great end of his career as a GM. That really was the biggest problem with Bill, the players he selected. I think when they got to this draft this past year, they really evaluated what they needed. They picked guys that they needed, not sitting out there and saying, okay, we're going to take a stretch with a guy. And it really worked out. And I look back, and I talked to Devin McCourty about this at one of the games when I saw him, and he and I were talking, and I said, hey, it's a shame they lost that. They ended up winning that last game. He said, you know what? May have been the best thing, because if they had won that game, they probably would have picked Travis Hunter, and they would not have addressed the left side of the line in getting Will Campbell. Now, that was midway through the season. Campbell was playing great. He ended up getting hurt. But again, Campbell's not a bust at all. Is he going to be Matt Light in his end of his career? Is he going to be Logan Mankins? I don't know about that. But is he going to be a good to above average left tackle? I think that's proven that he's going to be.
Yeah, good points. And getting back to what you're talking about, the game being decided in the trenches, I couldn't agree more. That's what I've been thinking of a lot this week. The two offensive lines, and I think Stevenson, if you're going for prop bets, Stevenson over rushing yards wouldn't be a bad choice. But getting back to the pressuring Darnold, I could see that totally have. If New England could, put some pressure on Darnold up the middle and really do that early and make a statement early, I think that could be, and really catch him off guard. I think that could be a big deal, and throw Darnold off his game. Now, Sam Darnold hasn't been the same Sam Darnold that we saw years ago with the Jets. By the way, were you at that Monday night game where he was seeing ghosts?
I certainly was. Yeah, I get to a lot of those there. I've been there, but he's a talented young player. Not anymore. Obviously, he's a little older now, but he was talented then. He was put in a terrible situation, and I think, again, he never sees ghosts if he doesn't have to deal with an organization that is just tripping every single week over themselves, to so much to the point where, there were reports coming out that that former executives are saying don't go there, and the owners got it through back channels go and tell another person to discredit it because they're best friends. I mean, it's a mess what's going on.
So you're feeling pretty confident about the Patriots. You want to give us a score?
I thought, thinking about today, I think they can get 24 to 27 points up, and I think the defense, if they can hold Seattle to 20 points, they're going to win this game. I think that's what it is. So, I said, 27-20. I'll give the 24 because I think Seattle defense is very good. It's going to be tough. 24-20 game, and your MVP, Hunter Henry.
Ooh, okay, gives us an MVP. Again, depending where you listen or watch this week, have you got a feeling that America is, I don't want to say just in love with Seattle, but I feel like, again, it's not my New England, but I feel like the Patriots aren't getting that much respect. Again, the strength of schedule is always brought up, but they're making it sound like this is like a Rams-Patriots 2001. These two teams are pretty close if you think about it.
They just look at the fact that the Rams played in the best division in football, arguably, with three teams that made the playoff, two teams that had to go on the road to win games, and then obviously against New England, who played in the AFC East, where the best team presumably was the Bills, and New England beat them, split with them, but then won all the other games in fashion that, you can sit there and say it didn't. But again, they beat the Bills in Buffalo, and they lost to the Bills in New England, a game that they were up at one point by almost 3 touchdowns. So, you do the math. If it's a case of, hey, we don't respect them because of who they beat, well, you have to play what's in front of you. Bill Parcells said it for many, many years. Your record is what your record is.
Absolutely.
If they snuck into the playoffs at 9 and we're not going to do the math now because they've done it now. We're 9-8, right? 9-8. If they snuck in at 9-8 and made the playoffs and lost it, well, they're not very good. They had an easy schedule. They did that. And if they missed look what happened on easy schedule. They didn't make it. They went through. So There's no winning in this situation.
And both teams are top 10 defense. I feel like the Patriots defense hasn't got any respect this whole week. But again, that's just my opinion. It depends where you're listening or watching, whatever. Ray, we got to wrap things up here because an hour goes by. We're almost ready to wrap up the show. We got Bennett's Best Bet coming up. But glad we could have you in here to talk about Patriots Seahawks. Where are you watching the game, by the way?
I'll be watching at home on my Sony. I've been watching it for quite a few years, as long as that thing don't burn out. But, that's a shame. I want to stick around and talk a little more. I want to talk a little Eastern Connecticut sports.
We talked about, there's a big one down your way tonight. UConn St. John's. We hit on that as well.
Oh, that's always good.
That's a huge one tonight. Huge one. So, but we got to get out because
Fighting Hurleys. We love Danny Hurley.
Hurley and Patino tonight. It's gonna be a big one. Ray, thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you.
Awesome to talk to you. Thank you guys for having me, and good luck. And let's get a win.
And much love to Mom and Pop Martel.
All we got.
All we need. All right, there he goes. Ray Martel, big radio guy down in New York. Spent many years at WFAN, being Joe Beningo's producer. Now he's a radio exec for the New York Mets. All right, I know we're up against it here. We got to get to Bennett's Best Bet. Let's do our picks real quick, then we'll go to my cousin here. So go ahead, give me your score again and a couple prop bets you want to throw in. Nick Erlinson.
Okay, Seattle 28-24. And the MVP of the game will not be Sam Darnold. It will be Kenneth Walker III.
Ooh, okay. All right.
And the color Gatorade that'll get dumped on the coach will be purple.
All right. That's an actual prop, huh?
Yeah.
Anything. They have wild props. All right. I'm not going to be as creative as off the top of my head. My cousin's got some good ones coming up. I'll go 27-17 Pats. I think the Pats defense is going to come up huge, I hope. And I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle wins. I'll say Hunter Henry has a couple touchdowns, and this is kind of boring. And both quarterbacks get picked once. So, okay, kind of blah, blah, blah.
And yes. In case you were wondering, Malcolm Butler will not be playing because he coaches in Houston, Texas.
Okay, so will he show up, though, Sunday?
Maybe. They might need him.
Will he play this time? All right, well, he played in that Seattle game. Okay, Bennett's Best Bet.
Greetings, Eastern Connecticut. Willimantic native Jeff Bennett here with the Super Bowl edition of Bennett's Best Bet of the Week. My best bets are a perfect 3-0 this season. And with the big game on deck, I'm supersizing things by giving you 4 bets I really like. Let's start with the total, 45.5 points. Unlike the snow and wind we saw 2 weeks ago in Denver, the weather forecast in Santa Clara should be perfect playing conditions. Both defenses have been getting the headlines recently, but I love the offenses here, especially on a clean field. This season, each team scored at least 23 points in roughly 70% of their games, and over half of their matchups, including the playoffs, got to at least 46 combined points. Now the experts, more than half of them are predicting a final score under the total of 45.5. But these two teams have made a habit of proving people wrong all season. So I'm zigging where they zag. Give me the over 45.5 points. Now prop number 1, Drake May. Longest rush, 13.5 yards. Drake May has ripped off runs of at least 14 yards in 5 of his past 7 games. And Seattle's defense brings the heat. They're elite at pressuring the quarterback. And more pressures sometimes lead to quarterback scrambles. So I'm going to take over 13.5 yards for Drake May's longest rush. Player prop number 2, Sam Darnold, the other quarterback. Passing yards at least 229.5 yards. Now Darnold has cleared 230 yards in 11 of his 19 games this season. And this matchup sets up well again, especially if it's close or the Seahawks are trailing. So give me over 229.5 passing yards for Darnold. And player prop number 3, Patriots tight end Hunter Henry receiving yards over 39.5. Henry's topped 40 receiving yards in 7 of his past 12 games. And with the defensive coverage likely shifting towards stopping the Patriots' outside weapons, Henry should get his chances across the middle. I like over 39.5 receiving yards for Hunter Henry. So there you have it. 3 player props and a total going over 45.5 points. And while we're here, here's my game pick. Patriots 26, Seahawks 23. So stay warm, enjoy the game, and go Pats.
Tell you, how about that NFL on CBS music? Big thanks to my cousin who gave us a great Super Bowl edition there of Bennett's Best Bet. So I'll wrap things up for this time next week. We'll be talking about another Patriots title or another Seahawks title. So where are you watching the game?
At my house.
Okay. Yeah, pretty boring, right?
Yeah.
Same here.
Me and the kids.
We're
We're looking forward to it. So.
Yeah, good. All right, wherever you're watching the Super Bowl, enjoy the big game. Big thanks to intern Anthony, J. Matt Rupar. He's not going anywhere. He's got Homegrown coming up next. Big thanks also to Bill O'Connor, Ray Martel. Thank you for listening and eventually watching on WILI Radio YouTube. And enjoy the weekend in the Super Bowl. We'll talk to you next week. And thanks to our Dunkin' Stores. We're out.